Steve Carreau, Rhea Ortner.
Here.
Barb Hart.
Here.
Andrew Duarte.
Here.
Ron Mitchell.
Here.
Danielle Kraus.
Here.
Steve Roundtree.
Here.
Catherine Valley.
Here.
And Jonathan Baumhover.
Here.
All right, thank you all.
Great, thank you. Let's get to the right page here. Are there any questions or comments on the consent agenda? If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Thank you. And Kate, can you call the roll?
Quick question. The November 2021 meeting minutes, I just followed the link. It's dated October 13th. Am I missing something?
I must have uploaded the wrong document. So I'll put those into our January meeting packet. I apologize.
And then I would adjust your motion to just say that Danielle, you're motioning to approve the warrants, the November warrants, not the whole consent agenda.
All right. I motion to approve the warrants for November 2021.
Second.
Great, thank you. And Kate, can you call the roll?
Yes. Steve Carreau. Rhea Ortner.
Yes.
Barb Hart.
Yes.
Andrew Duarte.
Yes.
Ron Mitchell.
Yes.
Danielle Kraus.
Yes.
Steve Roundtree.
Yes.
Catherine Vallon.
Yes.
Jonathan Baumhover.
Yes.
Great, thank you. And now I'd like to see if there is any public comment on non-agenda items. Okay. Hearing none and seeing none, let's move on to the next agenda item. The first action item of the day is the resolution for special event funding, and Kate is going to introduce this.
Hi, everyone. Last month, you'll remember that I brought forward two resolutions that you're seeing again this month. The first is this special event grant program. I had stated that Rita and I had some back and forth in our last meeting, and I said that the amounts were only off by $50. Well, that wasn't a totally correct statement. So just to cover all of our bases, we brought it back this month, and Rita and I worked on it, and we tweaked a couple language. You'll see it highlighted in the packet, and it kind of makes sense to talk about both items together because the resolution amounts affect each other. So that's why you'll see first, if you scroll down, the highlighted amounts, and those amounts actually I don't believe are different than what was in your packet before, but I still felt it was important to show you both resolutions since they do speak to each other. And so that's the clarification and the reason for this item. And then if you go, just for the sake of clarity, I'm not moving on to the next item. I just want to bring it up so that it can be seen. If you go to the Safer Main Streets grant funding, if you scroll down to the resolution, you'll see highlighted there really where the adjustments were made. So we call out the authorized amount that had been issued and then taken into account the resolution 2021-23, and then that then leads us to the remaining amounts of funds. So I know that's kind of circular, but I hope it's helpful to talk about it by showing you both of those at the same time to see why both of these items are back this month. So I'll go back to the first item is a resolution for the special event grant program, and that is resolution 2021-23 and the continued funding of the special grant fund. So the question before you again tonight is, does the board support resolution 2021-23 and the continued funding of the special event grant? And I'm happy to answer any questions.
I have a question about the grant request from the Women's Entrepreneurs Business Owners. I don't know if Eileen's on the call, but since there's an excess of funds, I'm just wondering if we should consider funding more of this. If it's appropriate to try to fund more of it, or that's inappropriate because they only asked for a certain amount, 1,063.
So Rhea, that's in the Boulder County Economic. I think what I'm hearing is the agenda item for the Boulder County Economic.
Oh, sorry,
Vitality
I'm on the
Grant.
wrong one. Okay.
No, it's fine.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure I was understanding you too. So that's after these, I believe.
You're right. I'm
Oh,
sorry. I'm on the wrong. Yes, I support this. Thank you. Sorry about that.
No problem. Thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions about this? If not, I would entertain a motion.
I don't have any questions. I motion to approve resolution 2021-23 and continue funding of the special event grant fund.
Second.
Great, thank you. Sorry, Kate, do we need to call a roll on this since it is an action item?
Yeah, I believe so. All right. So Rhea Ortner,
Yes.
Barb Hart,
Yes?
Andrew Duarte,
Yes.
Ron Mitchell,
Yes.
Danielle Kraus,
Yes.
Steve Roundtree,
Yes.
Catherine Vallon,
Yes.
Jonathan Baumhover.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you all.
Great, thank you.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Kate.
No, I was just kind of rolling with it. So I'll move right on to our next one, which is the resolution I referenced there. Now we're on the resolutions for the Safer Main Streets grant. And again, I pointed out already the edit that we made to the document that was different than what you saw last month in your packet before it would go to the BOT. So again, this month, the question is, does the board support resolution 2021-24 for the provision of matching funds for the Safer Main Streets grant?
Great, and does anyone have any questions on this one? I think it's all pretty clear in there. I don't have any questions. Hearing none, I would entertain a motion.
This is Danielle. I motion to approve the resolution 2021-24 for the provision of matching funds for the Safer Main Streets grant.
Second.
Thank you all. Rhea Ortner,
Is there discussion before voting?
roll call.
Does anyone have any discussion on this?
Yeah. Is this the resolution where there's a cap of 70,000?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
is everyone ready for the roll call now?
Yes.
Okay. Rhea Ortner,
Yes.
Barb Hart,
Yes?
Andrew Duarte,
Yes.
Ron Mitchell,
Yes.
Danielle Kraus,
Yes.
Steve Roundtree,
Yes.
Catherine Vallon,
Yes.
Jonathan Baumhover.
Yes.
Thank you all.
Great, thank you. Next, we will move into our discussion items, and Kate will tell us about the Boulder County Economic Vitality Grant.
Thanks, Barb. So in 2021, the NDDA received $6,000 in funds from the Boulder County Economic Vitality Grant to distribute in the peak-to-peak region of Boulder County. These funds must be expended in 2021. You'll see attached applications for funding that we received from the following groups. From the Women's Entrepreneur and Business Owners of Greater Nederland, we received a request of $1,063. And from the Discover Nederland Visitors Guide, we received a request of $1,100. Given that these grants don't expend all the funds that must be expended in 21, an option that we wanted to bring before the board to consider as well is the bulk purchase of cleaning supplies, COVID tests, and gloves for local businesses. This would complement the Town of Nederland's use of the same grant funds and fill the gaps that were not purchased by town. The Town of Nederland has a proven track record of providing PPE for our community. So as we were discussing it, that synergy seemed logical. Should the board choose to fund the above, this item would need to be moved from discussion to action this evening. And so, as I stated, you have the grant requests from the Boulder County the grant request from the Women's Entrepreneur Business Owners of Greater Nederland, and the grant request from Discover Nederland Visitors Guide. I have asked I sent the links to both of them to attend. And let me check my email one last time and make sure that nobody's asking and having trouble with anything. I don't have anything. Don't think they're on the call. So does anybody have any questions right now for me? And the question, go ahead.
I don't have any questions, but I just want to say these are amazing resources and I, as well as the COVID support, and I think all of them are great. The visitor's guide is wonderful. We hand it out all the time, and the Women's Entrepreneur Group, I have been told, is an amazing group. So I think that if we can support those in some way now, that would be awesome, as well as additional PPE for the Town of Nederland. Should we just go around the circle and see if anyone else has any questions or comments? Rhea, how about you?
I don't really have a comment, and since the people who wrote these requests for the funds aren't here, I don't think we should change the amounts. I think that having the COVID resources is really great, and I appreciate that Town Hall has the free masks. So the COVID tests, where are those? Are those available at Town Hall too, or?
Miranda, do you want to talk about COVID tests if the town has any?
I think our recommendation here would be actually for you to use your remaining Boulder Economic Vitality Grant to purchase COVID tests. Town does not have enough to distribute. Of course, there's always the COVID tests on Thursdays at the community center, but there was a feeling that you can order in bulk with your funds here, and then we as Town Hall would be happy to distribute either tests or cleaning supplies or gloves or all of the above on behalf of the DDA and track that data for you if you wanted to use the remaining funds for that purpose. It is possible to get free tests by individual. You can get 2 tests Currently, those sources are prohibiting large bulk ordering, which is why we thought maybe it made sense to take the remaining funds to order from a private vendor using the same tests that are approved by Boulder County Public Health, but order them in bulk for distribution. I hope that makes sense.
More easily accessible.
Yes, thank you.
I
And
know-
so you can
No,
test
thank you,
employees
Miranda.
kind of real time instead of waiting, trying to send them to Boulder, so especially if they are exhibiting symptoms of COVID. Instead of having to send them somewhere else, you could test them on site with these kits. And I think it's a great way for the DDA to support with some of those challenges businesses are having to overcome.
Great, thanks,
So-
Miranda. Do you know the turnaround time if you do order those? Just wondering with the holidays coming up, and of course, our stores will be busy, et cetera.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I mean, if this is a desire, we can reach out to our vendors and see what we can get. I do wonder if it could be a 30-day. I do think we could enter maybe into an agreement with the DDA of using some of our kits we do have as town, and then you would just replenish us. So we could potentially distribute them faster. I think we could enter into an agreement though of trying to find the fastest way to get these out since it is that busy time of year. I think there are a few options we could pursue.
And given that this item doesn't need to go to the Board of Trustees, if you all do approve funding all of the funding this evening, I can get on spending it tomorrow.
Excellent, thank you. Danielle, do you have any questions?
No questions. Mine was answered. As a business owner with a treatment room, I get really nervous going to the community center, thinking I'm going to catch it just waiting in line. It would be greatly appreciated if I could get some tests for me and the practitioners here at the studio. I would support this for sure. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And Andrew?
I don't have any questions, so we would be basically, just so I'm clear, we're talking about, approving the economic vitality grant and using the remaining funds to buy bulk order of COVID tests, so that these funds are used up before the end of 2021. Is that correct?
Yes, in general, yes. So it wouldn't just be COVID tests. We would buy cleaning supplies as well and gloves, items that kind of complement the holes that town was seeing in our discussions with town.
Yes, the town has masks, and we did a bulk order of hand sanitizer, so it's coming, and we'll distribute those as we have masks. But if you recall, I don't know, back in the day, like last year, I had hand sanitizer, gloves, masks, wipes, all sorts of things. We weren't able to do that same mixture. So the thought was, but order the things that we distributed last year. But I do agree with Danielle. I think COVID tests maybe are a bit more meaningful right now than gloves and cleaning supplies. I didn't distribute those as quickly last go around when I distributed them from the wastewater treatment plant. But those are still areas in which the survey we released about PPE, there were still identified needs for businesses. So you could kind of do a combination of all three or dump all the funds into just COVID tests if you wanted to go that route.
Absolutely, because one of the questions before you tonight is, do you approve of spending the remaining funds on the bulk purchase? But you can stipulate if you want me to spend more on COVID tests and other things. That's absolutely fine. That mixture that you'd like to see. Else, I was just going to work with town to kind of estimate and get and based on their numbers and do an order.
Okay, thanks.
Great, thank you. And Catherine?
Personally, I would like to see the vast majority of it go to the tests. It was for a while very difficult to find gloves and cleaning supplies.
Absolutely.
Just like if you went to Costco or something like that, or Walmart or wherever, but now actually you can find gloves and cleaning supplies quite readily and quite easily, especially since the reports came out saying that surface contact transfer was much more minimal than they originally thought. And so it's not difficult getting cleaning supplies or gloves anymore. However, it's very difficult finding tests. And any of us who have employees, I mean, if you've got an employee that comes in and says, well, I was sneezing this morning, but I moved hay, and I think it's just an allergy, boy, I would feel better knowing whether or not to send them home. And so the tests, which are difficult to come by and not readily available, I'd like to see, if not 100% of the funds go to testing, then a very high percentage of the funds go towards the testing, because to me, that's the biggest gap that's the most difficult for any of the business owners to fill right now.
Thank you, Catherine.
Great, thank you. And Jonathan?
I'm in favor of this. Sounds like an appropriate use of funds, and I'm going to defer to the rest of the board who actually own the businesses in town of what would be more helpful. It sounds like tests are probably more helpful for our businesses than cleaning supplies and gloves and stuff. All in favor?
Great, thank you, Jonathan. And Ron?
I have no comment.
Okay, and Steve Roundtree?
Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree with everybody's statements on the focusing on the testing, and it sounds like a great thing to do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see. Is there any public comment or discussion on this discussion item? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion. Let's see. No, to move it to an action item.
Exactly.
I move that wait a minute. Let's see. I move that we move the disbursement of the remaining 2021 funds for, was it special activities, to an action item for consideration for spending on PPE and or COVID testing.
Thank you.
Second that.
Great, thank you. Do we call the roll every time as we're going through moving it to an action item and then the approvals, and we want to approve them? We want to approve them separately, the business owners, the Discover Nederland, or do we want it all to go to PPE? Because that should be included in the move of the item, correct?
Yeah, so we'll do just the move and then take the vote now on the move. And then you could make a motion that just encompasses all the ways in which you want to spend this 6,000, which includes the two businesses. And then I agreed to please specify this bulk purchase, and if you want it all to go to COVID testing, or if you'd like to kind of leave that, or give authority to Kate to purchase as needed and appropriate.
Okay. Are we okay with the wording on the move to the action item?
Yeah, I think you just need to take a vote now. Yep.
Yeah, I just need to do roll call. Yep. All right. Rhea Ortner.
Yes.
Barb Hart.
Yes.
Andrew Duarte.
Yes.
Ron Mitchell.
Yes.
Danielle Kraus.
Yes.
Steve Roundtree.
Yes.
Catherine Vallon.
Yes.
Jonathan Baumhover.
Yes.
Great, thank you. I believe the next step would be to make a motion to approve the funding for each separate, or to lump it all together and say the women entrepreneurs plus Discover Nederland plus the rest for testing.
And I would just, unless you feel, Kate, you feel like you need it broken up, I think you could just do it all as
Oh, I agree. It's whatever the preference is, but I agree that if since we're kind of all on the same page pretty much, I just want to make sure that if you want to stipulate about the COVID test, more money on COVID tests or not, whichever language, that's the thing I'm concerned about right now, making sure that we're all on the same page about that.
So I think your motion would be that you approve using the Boulder Economic Vitality Grant for the request from the Women's Entrepreneur and Business Owners of Greater Nederland, Discover Nederland Visitors Guide, and the remaining funds to be used for, and I'll let you fill in the blank.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you.
How about I make a motion to approve funding the grant request from the women entrepreneurs and the business owners of Greater Nederland and use the remaining funds to purchase COVID tests.
Andrew, I think you need to add Discover Nederland Visitor Center Guide in there.
Okay, and yeah, I'm sorry about that. Motion to approve funding the grant request from women entrepreneurs and business owners of Greater Nederland and the grant request from Denver Nederland or Discover Nederland Visitors Guide and use the remaining funds to purchase COVID tests.
Second,
And Kate, will you take the roll?
Rhea Ortner,
Yes.
Barb Hart,
Yes?
Andrew Duarte,
Yes.
Ron Mitchell,
Yes.
Danielle Kraus,
Yes.
Steve Roundtree,
Yes.
Catherine Vallon,
yes.
Jonathan Baumhover.
Yes.
Right. Thank you all.
Great, thank you. The next discussion item will be administrative needs, and Kate is going to tell you about this.
All right. So now that the NDDA is doing its own books in QuickBooks, this has negatively impacted the NDDA's laptop, and it no longer reliably works. It pretty much only works for about 10 or 15 minutes before it just shuts down completely right now. So I'm using my personal computer to do business. In addition, the NDDA has previously purchased checks to be used with the QuickBooks and a printer, and the NDDA does not own a printer. Therefore, tonight I have a request before the board for the approval of a budget of $1,200 to purchase a laptop and printer for the NDDA for the executive director to utilize. In researching the purchase, this amount should cover a computer printer and taxes on an HP type product. The funding for the budget would come from the salary savings for the month of May 2021 that we had. There's no attachments to this, and I'm just wondering if the board approves of a budget of $1,200 for a new computer and printer for the executive director of the NDDA to utilize. And just a reminder that this, if you choose to approve this request, it would need to be moved to action as well.
Great, thank you, Kate. Let's go around real quick and see if anyone has any questions or comments. Let's start with Danielle.
No questions, no comments.
Great. And Andrew.
Yeah, no questions, no comment. Makes sense.
Great. And Catherine?
No questions, no comments.
And Jonathan?
No questions, no comments. Seems appropriate.
And Ron?
I think this should be increased to $2,000, and the reason is I want a much better than a real cheap printer. I want to be sure it has scanner capability, and I'd leave it up to Kate to check that out. But I don't believe that's enough for a printer, and I would prefer to have a bit higher grade printer.
So Ron, the printer one of the printers that I was looking at, it does have the scanner. It does all of the one. And the nice thing about the QuickBooks checks is that they work with most printers and that in my research. But I appreciate if the board does want to increase the budget. But just to let you know that I did consider that in the process, because I do want us to be paperless as much as possible.
Well, and also I would like you to buy an extended warranty on it.
Okay.
And that would cost maybe $100 or $200. I don't know.
Yes, it's about $200 to get those extended protections.
That's very important. So I move that we allow Kate to spend at a maximum, but not necessarily $2,000 to get a new computer and a new printer to be able to function in her capacity. Second?
Real quick, we missed a couple others before we
Oh,
make.
sorry. Go ahead with comment.
That's okay. Just Steve Roundtree or Rhea, if you have any questions or comments just before we do the motion.
Concerning Ron's friendly amendment or his proposal to move it to $2,000, is there enough money in the budget to cover that in the savings that was quoted here?
So no, it wouldn't necessarily come from that savings, but there is money available to cover that, but it wouldn't be from the savings that I stated in the item.
Okay, that's fine. Thanks.
Great. And Steve Roundtree?
Yeah, I was kind of amazed that $1,200 was going to cover a laptop and a printer, so the $2,000 still seems impressive. So I think that's great.
Okay, great. Thank you. Do we have any public comment on this item? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to move it to an action item first.
I move that the proposal to allocate funds for the purchase of a laptop and printer with all the appropriate warranties and everything be moved to an immediate action item.
Second.
Rhea Ortner,
Yes.
Barb Hart,
Yes?
Andrew Duarte,
Yes.
Ron Mitchell,
Yes.
Danielle Kraus,
Yes.
Steve Roundtree,
Yes.
Catherine Vallon,
Yes.
Jonathan Baumhover.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then we would entertain a motion to approve the budget up to $2,000.
I'd like to make an additional comment. I would like Kate to be able to, in this purchase price, purchase enough ink cartridges to have the printer completely loaded and one set ready to go all the time should the cartridges run out. So that would mean having 2 sets on hand. That would be part of the purchase price. Those cartridges are fairly expensive too. That's how they.
I would say a laser printer. You know, if I just not to get off track here, but doing a lot of QuickBooks check printing. I think I have a brother multifunction center, whatever. I can look at the specs, but I've had it for like 5 years and it's printed thousands of checks. And the laser, toner is pretty reasonable. So I think that should be able to all be accomplished within that $2,000 budget.
Thank you, Andrew.
Yeah.
Great. Can I hear a motion to approve that budget for a new computer and printer
And ink.
and ink?
And warranty.
Accessories, yes. And
All the things.
I move we authorize Kate to spend up to $2,000 for a new printer, a new computer, warranty on both the printer and the computer, and adequate ink to have the printer supplied and an extra load of ink for the next round if needed.
I second that.
Second,
Right. Rhea Ortner,
Yes.
Barb Hart,
Yes?
Andrew Duarte,
Yes.
Ron Mitchell,
Yes.
Danielle Kraus,
Yes.
Steve Roundtree,
Yes.
Catherine Vallon,
yes.
Jonathan Baumhover.
Yes.
Thank you all.
Good luck, Kate.
It's the right time of year to be shopping for these things. I think that's why we're able to see a lot of savings, because a lot of these items are on sale right now, which is part of the reason I'm excited to be able to take advantage of that for us.
Great, thank you. And let's move on to the next item, which is our last discussion item of the evening, and it is the committees and membership.
And Barb, I was going to kind of take the lead and then you just jump in. Does that work?
Absolutely.
Okay. So now that we have some new board members and the new year is coming up, we thought we would revisit committees. And so we wanted to see, I've included a list of the different committees that we have. We have Beautification, Big Springs, the Committee, Communications Committee, Performance Space Committee, Public Art, and Wayfinding. Those are the ones that we have record of right now as being kind of our active committees. And so I wanted us to see, take your temperature and see how you felt about the committees you were on, or to see which committees you wanted to join. And we wanted to, I know some people want to move around in that. And so what we were thinking is that I'm going to send out, this is just a discussion item this month, and I'm going to send out a survey monkey to each of you that will ask more about your interests, what committees you're in if you want to move around. And then I'll take the results from that and put it together for our January meeting, where we'll kind of formalize next steps about the committee as an action item. And so the questions, so I've listed the questions here, but do you wish to join any current committees? Do you wish to leave any committees? Do you think that there are some committees that should just be removed altogether? Do you feel that there are committees that maybe we need to add? Are there any committees that should be dormant and activated at a certain time? Those are the things that I'm going to ask you in the Survey Monkey, so I can kind of get all that information together and bring it back to you. So I wanted you to think about that a bit, and how you felt about that, and just gauge your interests. So that's that. And Barb, if you want to jump in.
I just, I want to jump in just for a minute, because if we're going to kind of make a decision next month, I want to put it out there that I am going to be withdrawing from several committees. So to open it up to anyone who wants to step in. Wayfinding is an awesome committee. I don't have the time to participate in that one. I think that it's going to be very busy over the next year, and it's going to be awesome, but I'd love to see somebody step in there. Beautification, I absolutely love being on, but if someone wanted to step onto that one, it's a really cool thing that we're doing, and we have so much information to share. So I would like somebody else to step onto that one if they're interested. And the committee is really kind of to come up with things like guidelines and how the committees function. Somebody that's really familiar with contracts or employee handbooks, this would be a great committee for them. Communications, I'm happy to stay on unless someone feels a real strong urge to jump on that one, because that's really my hope is to open more communications with businesses in town. And my other thought, the performance space is kind of just sitting there, but some folks do want to meet about that. So if there's somebody that wants to jump onto that one and really get involved, I think there's a lot of great stuff that's going to happen there, both with ProSab and members of the BOT that are interested. So that's my take on those, and just to share that so that people are thinking about it for the next month, what they might be interested in.
Thanks, Barb.
Yeah. Does anyone else have a, let's see, another thing we talked about was, are there any committees that we're missing? I don't know that any of these could go dormant right now, but
Well,
yeah.
I've been, this has been brought up to the DDA before about, there used to be a Netherlands kind of Chamber of Commerce, and whether that is something that the DDA, and there's no Chamber of Commerce, but is that something that the DDA should start helping businesses with in terms of promoting the businesses or however a chamber functions? I've heard that mentioned before. So I just threw that out there for discussion if there's someone particularly interested in that, that could be maybe a good fit. What do y'all think?
Thanks, Ray. So I'll just say thanks, Ray. That's a great thing to bring up to exactly. Should this be something we add and people to work on that?
Yeah, the Chamber of Commerce used to kind of talk about doing things, almost like a welcome packet, where if somebody purchased a home in Netherlands or, moved in and somebody became aware that they moved in, that there was like a little kind of welcome to town packet that kind of gave some ideas, maybe some coupons from some different businesses or a listing, a mountain pages or whatever, just so that people could figure out, other than what they drove past and noticed, where they could get pizza, where they could see the doctor, different things like that, who fixes plumbing. And so without a Chamber of Commerce, maybe something like that would step in and fill some sort of that gap might be nice.
That's a great idea. Thanks, Catherine.
We put 20,000 in our budget for traffic control, and I would think that would be worthwhile to, I don't know, rename the parking committee as parking and traffic control, and then just let that committee work on because the idea is to maybe have flaggers for 3 or 4 weekends or however long it'll take to run out of the 20,000 to get traffic moving through town on the weekends, particularly during the leaf color season. So I think that is where the 20,000 should end up. Thank you.
Thanks, Ron.
Thanks, Ron. And Steve Roundtree.
Yeah, I don't have any comments on this.
Okay, great. Thank you. Jonathan.
I don't really have much comments on this. I was going to say that the performance space might be put dormant, but I do know Tanya is talking with a few folks looking to try to bring that back, and apparently it sounds like there's some interest in ProSab as well. So looking forward to seeing Kate's survey, and I think that's where the meat of my feedback will come in.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to echo that. I think in addition to Jonathan, it's Marta, the performance space is huge for people, especially with the work going into the GOCO grant of our Archimeta Parks. People would like to see that gain momentum soon.
Can I make a comment or kind of a question and comment mixed up? As somebody new, like when I was reading through these list of committees and I was like, the committee, what is that? Wayfinding committee, what is that? When you are putting out the questionnaire or something, I was going to ask if it's possible to kind of give a short definition of what each committee does in case it's not obvious. In some cases, like beautification seems fairly obvious, but
I'd be happy to.
maybe a
Thank
short
you.
description. And also if it could be mentioned, like committees that have a lot of openings versus ones that actually have a lot of participants, a lot of activity, just so that if you only got a certain amount of time and you want to help out a committee, that you don't join one that's already fully populated with a bunch of active people and leave another committee short-staffed.
That's wonderful feedback. Thank you. I'll put that in the survey. I'll give that kind of that higher level. And I might not be able to do some of what you're asking just because I don't know how people might want to move around, but I can at least tell you, like what Barb said, wayfinding, it has a lot going on next year. So if you don't have a lot of time to commit, that might not be the best one for you. Big Springs, hopefully, will be going on. So I can kind of give that background in there so that you can see the ones that may have more time commitment than others and where I'm seeing people. But to set up the survey, I might not be able to give some of that, but I could circle back depending on how things go. But this was great feedback. Thank you, Catherine.
Sure.
Great, thank you. And Danielle.
No comments.
Okay. And Andrew.
Yeah, no comments. I think looking forward to the survey, and yeah, that's all.
Okay, great. Let's see, we are done with all of our discussion items. And now we have informational items, which are our reports. I put a very, very small report in since the chair report is at the top there. I'll just add to that real quickly. As I put my apology in there, and I'm sorry for getting sidetracked at the last meeting, but all of it is in there. And then I also wanted to say it's been a really busy month with other things going on, and I met with Mayor Larson, Nikki Dunn briefly about beautification, Rhea about flower pots and beautification, and Kate and Miranda this past month. And other than that, it's kind of just been a regrouping and moving forward. So that was my whole report.
Thanks, Barb.
Thank you. And next would be sheet of paper here. The treasurer's report. Ron, do you have anything else else to add to the treasurer's report? It's in the packet, obviously, so.
Just a few minor items. Sorry, I was talking and I was still muted, so nobody heard what I said. I'm going to meet with Kate later next week, and we're going to develop a financial statement that will read very much like a standard business accounting financial statement rather than a fund accounting statement, so that you'll have a better idea of actually where the DDA stands at the end of the year. So that's one thing Kate and I are working on together, and I wanted people to know that. If you have any questions about it, why call me separately. I'll be glad to talk with anyone about the financial statement.
Great, thank you, Ron. And Kate.
All right. So like Barb said, I've met with Barb, I've met with Ron this month and others, and we're completed the budget process and working with committees to plan for 2022, getting their budgets ready, like beautification and public art. In November, progress was made on another draft of the IGA with our attorney, and it is anticipated that it will be an item for January for discussion. I've met with our attorney a couple of times now, going back and forth about some of the revisions that were requested at our last meeting. And we're making progress. And to the main thing that we're working on right now is Steve Crow's main request, which was basically to break out kind of who can do what when, for lack of a better way to play it. And so that's what we've been working on right now, is going through the statute and teasing out some different things and asking our attorney and getting feedback on that. And so we're hoping that we'll have all that teased out that you had requested at our last meeting available for the discussion item in January. So that's my biggest thing that I am and have been working on. And in the rest of this month, I'll continue to work on year end and reporting and web updates. And I hope everyone is enjoying and has a happy holiday season.
Thanks, Kate.
Thanks, Kate. And Miranda for the town staff report.
Yeah. Our report, I'm not going to go over it in its entirety, but highlight a few things. You received a notification from us that unfortunately we are canceling the volunteer appreciation party that was going to be held tomorrow, actually. We will have bags of the tungsten toffee popcorn though at town hall starting on Monday, and we'd love to have you swing by and pick some up and say hello. For those of you who are vegan, we're also working on getting some vegan cookies. So I'll send another update about that. New website is up. It launched yesterday. There's definitely, once launching, we're finding some things we need to tweak, but generally, if you haven't looked at it, it's a lot cleaner, easy to navigate. So really excited and thankful to Peter for all his hard work on that. Text My Gov is also a new program that we have where people can text us questions or concerns or report issues, and they generate into typically emails to us. So it's just another way to communicate. And we did a few Facebook posts about that. A couple things that are not in my report. I didn't add a note about vaccine clinics. So we will be having vaccine clinics every Thursday from 4 to 6, assuming there's staffing from Boulder County Public Health. I have received confirmation that we will in fact have a vaccine clinic tomorrow with all 3 vaccines available. I don't know what their supply is, so it's recommended that you go early if you do need to go. I think the only other thing, and then Rick's on here too, is the fire department has selected their fire chief. They're still working on kind of contract negotiations, but his name is Michael Scott. He comes to us from working for a state agency, had previously served as a deputy chief in Crested Butte for, I think, about 8 years. Brings a wealth of knowledge and experience, and I think his leadership skills. I was on that hiring committee, and I was really just impressed with his philosophy when it comes to leadership. You can meet him on Saturday at Rick, 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock at the fire department. There's also a Zoom option if you can't physically be there. But was that right, Rick? 6 o'clock?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yep.
More information's on their website, but really excited for them to have that person in place, and in town we're still trucking along and to get a marshal. So hopefully that marshal is not far behind.
Hey, Miranda?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I believe that the meet and greet, I don't know this 100%, but because we still have limitations in the station, is really just for our staff.
Okay.
Just because of the COVID limitations. I may be wrong on that, and I will double check and let you know, and we can get the word out if it's a more public meet and greet.
Okay, I thought I saw in the news article about it. It was posted in the news thing to come by.
I thought I saw the very same thing.
Okay, that could be. I wasn't aware we.
Yeah, it says on Saturday, December 11th, the department will be hosting an open house at 6 p.m. Oh, for the department to meet him. Good point. I think there was a little, but then I was asked to share it. So I think that's really interesting. I may need to get some clarification. You probably faster. Could you get that clarification so I can send out? I'd hate to have a bunch of people show up if they can't actually go in. Yeah, I think there is a misunderstanding amongst just community in general that this is open to the public.
Okay, give me just a minute. Let me check and I'll come back.
Yeah, I read it the same way when I saw the announcement. I thought it was, so that's a good clarification.
Yeah, same. And so if that's the case, then we can send up, hopefully Rick will have an answer before we go. But you can read more about his bio on the fire department's website, as well as see a copy of his resume. I think that's about it for the time being.
Okay, thanks, Miranda. Rhea, we're waiting for next month on beautification update, correct?
I mean, my only update is that we met with a new flower supplier, waiting for a quote from her. We're going to also talk to City Floral. Anyone who's interested in the beautification committee is happy. You're happy to talk to me about it. I'd love to stay on the committee. you know, the person, the committee be responsible for hiring the gardener for next year who's going to take care of the flowers. And also I'd like to see somebody who has a lot of self-initiative to expand the program to either add more perennial beds or even more flowers in locations and things like that. So just let me know. Thanks.
Thank you. And we have a Big Springs committee update.
Yeah.
Andrew's gonna do this one.
Okay. So we've got our bid set of documents from JVA, which are attached if folks want to look at those, or we can, I guess they're up there. And one thing that I'll post in chat was just a timeline for everything there. So basically what we're going to be doing with JVA is posting this, JVA is going to be handling the request for proposal, administering it. So they're going to post the plans and the the open bid on December 17th. And then on Thursday, this is still before some of these final days were finalized, but there's a pre-bid conference that's either going to be on the 5th or the 6th. We were just waiting for Chris to get back to Nathan on his availability. So when I get final answers from JVA, if anyone is interested in attending the pre-bid conference, which is just where folks who are actually going to be bidding this have a chance to come up and ask JVA questions about the project. They come up and ask questions on January 5th or 6th. And then, or I'm sorry, that's the pre-bid conference is on January 5th or 6th. And then the contractor questions is on January 12th, with JVA, answering those questions on the 14th. And then we're looking to try to have, the bid close on January 20th, which at that point we would get, hopefully receive more than one bid and be able to review the bids on the February meeting with the DDA and make a motion to move things to the Board of Trustees so that they could act on our recommendation for their meeting, which would be, potentially March, and then be able to have them select a contractor and be ready to start in April. As of now, I believe Tebow's, they're planning on, they need to do their wall first, but with weather, I talked with JVA this morning, and after his conversation with Tebow's representative, George Chelwick, doesn't sound like they'll, probably be moving forward on the wall for, during the holidays. So as far as town stormwater portion, just in case anyone didn't know, that would happen after after Tebow builds the retaining wall. So our hope is that, the contractor, potentially the same contractor who's doing the wall, is able to, bid it efficiently, and we can just keep one person doing it. That remains to be seen until all the bids come in. But yeah, I don't know if you're able to scroll through that picture on the next. Yeah, so this just kind of shows, back there, and then this is the current plan, which has a bit of sidewalk and two crosswalk areas, one at the west end of Big Springs and one by the what will be a shared driveway between HubNed and the Black Forest. And then, Tebow's got steps going down from the Black Forest that'll land. And then we've got all our perpendicular parking in front of the Black Forest, and then 5 or 6 spots over in front of HubNed on the street. And So that's the update in a nutshell of where things are at and where they're supposed to go. If anyone has any questions, that's all I've got.
Thanks so much, Andrew.
Just like to make a comment so that everybody knows, and maybe most everybody does, but we picked up 4 parking spaces because the 2 property owners were willing to cooperate and create one drive for both of them. And I think they deserve some credit for that help. Just wanted everybody to know. Thank you.
Thanks, Ron.
Thanks, Ron. Miranda, are there plans of like Tebow's retaining wall at Town Hall? Can we see those, or is that not?
Let me look.
He's making it similar to what HubNet did, right? Where it kind of goes up in the front and then goes back down. So raising up the dirt in front of the entrance so that there's not such a daunting stairway.
Yeah, in general, that's his, he wants to raise the entire parking lot so there's less of a elevation difference between the parking area and the entrance to the Black Forest. Yep.
And he's putting in a handicapped ramp up the left side of the staircase from where the elevation will be into the front of the building.
That's what's shown on JBA's plans, but I think if Miranda's looking at Tebow's permit set, I think that would be where details of the handicap ramp are spelled out at the Black Forest.
Yeah, I've got their engineer
JBA
drawings. They're not great. I mean, they're not overly user friendly, but for me to show. But here we go. Trying to figure out where I'm at. This is the entrance, I think, to Black Forest. So then you've got this stairway. That's what you're just talking about, Andrew.
Yeah, and then or to the east of that, there's what appears to be a new handicap ramp.
Yeah.
Kind of where the planters are.
And then here's your wall, but I don't have like a design drawing, like photos of what this wall looks like. This is all we have.
Okay.
Yeah, it's my understanding that it's like a precast panel system.
Yeah, we don't care what it looks like. We care about the engineered drawings. So it doesn't look like we have that.
Changed it. Yeah.
That it's.
I think it's.
Okay, I was just wondering if we had access to that yet, but it.
Yeah, it doesn't look like I have anything beside just the engineering components.
Okay. Great. Does anyone have any other questions about Big Springs updates that Andrew has given us? If not, we can go to the committee, which we're gonna not have any update on. Communications committee, Kate is working on the website, so that's kind of what's going on there right now. Performance space is dormant, but there are some folks interested in getting together on that. And if anyone is interested, I'll give you the names, or Jonathan can give you the names of others that are interested in that. And Public Art Committee, Danielle.
So for Nederland Public Art, I met with Greg the other day after writing this up, and our projection for the mural being finished is early next year. We will not be getting it up before Christmas. The holiday season was a little too much of a load for him to put time into that and all of the shows that he was committed to. Our plans are to have the mural finished, put a protective coat on it as for the process in protecting the mural. There are 2 coats. One is to protect the actual paint, and then the UV coating that goes on top of that. And then when you need to remove the UV coating. That initial first coat protects the actual paint. So what our plans are is to put the initial coat, install the mural, and then come warmer weather, put the UV coat on it while the mural's outdoors. The idea behind that is it might be too much of a large project to put the UV coating on it while it is indoors. And Greg has some experience with this product, which is golden acrylic paint. Even without an initial protective coat, it holds up for years without too much UV damage. So I think if we put it up early next year, our community can appreciate it, enjoy it, and it will be safe until we put the actual UV coating on it come warmer weather. We are also working on our contracts. We have about 3 sites we're looking at that are smaller, and we hope to have all of our ducks in a row with the business owners and the building owners so that when we do our call for artists, we don't come up with a conundrum on buildings being for sale or losing a month to getting everything signed and ready so that things can be completed over the summer instead of running into the winter. So that's where we are right now with it. Thank you.
Danielle, I have a question, and this is a little separate than the mural. If it did come up at the Board of Trustees meeting about doing some maintenance on the bridge and the work that Kevin had done there, and I had recommended, Katrina Harms wanted to kind of spearhead that, and I had recommended she reach out to you to see if maybe the DDA Public Art wanted to take that on. I have no specifics of the approach, but really ways to protect those and enhance them where needed. So I'd love to just put that kind of plug for that you might hear from her and something maybe the DDA would want to consider.
Yeah, that sounds great. Talking with her would be good. I did talk to Kevin over the summer, and we talked about potentially removing the murals because they are worn out. They have a little bit of graffiti. And one of the ideas was to sell them to people in town to have an auction and potentially raise money through that auction to put up new artwork. So I didn't want to bring up that idea to the committee just yet because after Kevin's death, it's a really sensitive subject. I would love to talk to people who were more involved with him on whether we want to keep the murals there or if we want to actually get them into the homes of people who were really close to him so that they don't further degrade, and maybe do a memorial project to replace them. So thank you for putting my name out there. And once I hear from her, then I'll get the rest of the committee involved on how to move forward to take care of those.
Great, thanks.
Any other questions about the mural project or the committee? All right, thank you guys.
Great, thank you, Danielle. And since Steve Carreau is not on tonight, I don't believe we have anything to update on wayfinding. He has been working a lot on it, and with Claudia as well, who's still helping with wayfinding. And I think we'll probably have a lot more information in January.
Yeah. So I met with Steve a couple of days ago, and this was unexpected, him being unable to be here this evening, but he had intended to let you all know that there will be an agenda item on wayfinding in January. And if you had any specific questions or wanted to give any feedback, he's happy to hear from anybody.
Great, thank you. That takes us to the end of our committee reports and potentially the end of our meeting. No one else has any other information or discussion? I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
I move we adjourn.
Second that.
Great, thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Great, thank you. Good night,
all.
everyone.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.